Welcome to the Port City Plate Podcast, presented by Bienville Bites Food Tour. The Port City Plate Podcast is serving up the food, history, and people of Mobile, Alabama for people who love the Port City. I'm your host, Chris Andrews, and on today's show, we have legendary innovator and leader in the restaurant industry here in the Mobile area, Nick DiMario. Nick is the operating partner at Panini Pete Hospitality, where together with Pete, they operate Panini Pete's, Squid Ink, Sunset Pointe, Ed's Seafood Shed, and many more coming soon that we're going to talk about on the show today. So, Nick, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, man, many more. We might be crazy, but yeah, we got many more coming.
Well, it's exciting.
Pleasure being here, man. It's been a cool journey to watch you start off with the foot traffic of one or two people that's evolved into large groups to two cities, Fairhope, downtown Mobile, and you're just killing it. And that's kind of like the restaurant business, one plate at a time. You did it one tourist at a time. It was pretty cool to watch someone build a business up from the bottom, and that's kind of what we've been doing.
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate y'all, and I was going to mention this to you, and I know y'all definitely took a chance on an idea that I had when I first talked to you and Pete about, the food tour originally about, it's 5 years ago now. And,
well, the cool thing was that you came in and you had a plan, and I think when we look at anything that we do, who we partner with, and what we do, we have to know that there's a plan and there's a process. And I think that you have done that from day one. When you guys walked in with 3 people, you still had a plan, you had a time, you had a schedule, you had everything going on, and you communicate super well. And I think that in any type of business, especially the sales business, you're selling Mobile, the greatness of the area, and you're on time. Being on time, you got to go to the next spot, and so that always helps when you're partnering with folks.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and yeah, for sure. I mean, I know how the restaurant industry has been. I've learned that scheduling and being on time and over communicating.
Well, everyone, you hear the same thing, and you're a fan of the restaurant business with what you do, and you hear the same thing. Oh, the restaurant business is hard. Oh, the restaurant business is difficult. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not. It's the same as any other business. If you don't have a plan, you don't have a process, and you don't train and hire great people, and then set expectations, any business is going to be difficult. So we love what we do. I mean, we make money doing what we love to do. That's like being a pro football player and getting paid to do what you love to do. It's not a job, but you just happen to get paid, and that's our feeling in our restaurant company that we've been trying to grow through our people.
I love it, and that's what we're definitely going to talk about that on today's podcast for sure. But I wanted to start because I think a lot of people probably don't know that you played football at the University of Alabama.
Well, let me rephrase all that. So, my brother was a 3-year starter under Coach Stallings. I was recruited by Alabama out of New Jersey. Coach Perkins was the coach, and I was coming, and my grades weren't where they needed to be, so I took a little hiatus through a smaller school. And then when I got here, Coach Curry had taken over, so the whole game had changed. I became a recruited walk-on. And what I found out was that at 6'1", with short legs, coming to the SEC, it didn't last long. So I walked on, and I ran off back into the restaurant business where I started when I was 13 or 14 in Philly, washing dishes in a small place called Emilio's off 65th Street downtown. And Pete makes fun, but I went to school with Will Smith at Our Lady of Lourdes, the actor, from kindergarten all the way through, and then we all went to all different boroughs. We all had the same aspirations of being a pro athlete, and then we realized we had to get a job. And I knew that my job probably would be surrounded by either bricklaying, plumbing, or food, so I picked food. And I got down here, and that whole experience, though, with the allure of wanting to play football at Alabama and walking on, was a really, really cool thing that I made some relationships that end up passing me through in the restaurant business. And so those things that you learn early on in sports and athletics about discipline, about time, about preparation, regardless of my short stint of walking on, I met a Bob Baumhower, and I worked for him for 27 years where he took me under his wing as a young man, and that's where I met Pete, and literally groomed me from every aspect. And he's had 2 bosses in his lifetime. That was Bear Bryant and Don Shula. I think they're pretty good. So going back to what we said in the beginning, processes, preparation, training, doesn't matter if it's football, wrestling, they all, restaurant business, they all tie in. So I got to do the journey with him for 27 years. I started off as assistant manager, and before I left, I was, at one point running most of the operations or all the operations, and met Pete there, and our relationship maintained, and everything came full circle 27 years later, regardless of his journey and my journey there. And we love Bob, and I consider him 1, 2, 3 top mentors. And then 9 years ago, Pete had an idea about Sunset Pointe, gave me a call, and we said, yeah, let's give it a shot, and we haven't looked back. And since from then we created this plan and go, how do we build this company? And so now we're building it one brick at a time, and we're using we versus I, and this bracelet on my hand says keep growing, keep learning. And so we're trying to do that through our unbelievable team members. Amber, Luke, Tyler. We have unbelievable young lions that love to hunt and want to learn. And the cool thing is that we together collectively are going to build this giant company that's fun. Food and hospitality. There's nothing. It's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's not life and death what we do.
That's right. I was just talking to somebody this morning about it. Like, this industry, tourism and hospitality, you're going to have fun. We were at, it was a lot of different industries, healthcare and business and things like that. But I was like, man, we're the fun group. Like, the tourism and hospitality group, this is the fun group.
We're here to inspire. Who doesn't get stoked about having something to eat or listen to music? I was talking to you earlier about some of our new endeavors, and, we picked up one. The last couple days and signed the lease where we're taking over the Lake Forest Yacht Club, which is now going to be called the Waterfront Restaurant. 7,000 square feet on the water, on the bay, probably the best setting that I've seen, including Sunset Pointe. And I think we're going to do super crazy things there. Bushwhackers, unbelievable cheeseburgers, fresh fish sandwiches, just food that's approachable, music, and just the total package. But it starts with a plan and a vision. I'll do everything in the 4-piece: people, product, professionalism, and profit. I learned it somewhere else, but if I had a tattoo on my back, it'd probably be that, and go, that's where I start.
I love it, and that restaurant sounds really good. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's a canvas right now.
It seems like you kind of, all right, so you learned from Baumhower's 27 years.
Yeah, the cool thing about working with Bob was that we learned together, we grew together, and the boy became a man, and I'm forever indebted to that. It was he didn't just teach me business lessons, he taught me life lessons, which I'll be forever grateful. And he's an amazing guy, and obviously he's a legend, sports legend, as well as considered a restaurant legend. Me and Pete, we're just trying to carve out our piece as far as respectability and what we do. We are super involved with the ongoing position of where the current hospitality business is, and believe that it is our duty to educate all layers of the business, from middle schools, going there and reading books to them and telling them that it's not just flipping hamburgers, and that they see that it's more than just a food network. And then the high school, as well as the culinary programs for the state of Alabama. We were brought in to do all of the videos for the culinary for all the junior colleges in the state of Alabama about what the industry is, and they're showing them in every high school and every junior college through the state, education-wise. And we were super stoked about being those people. But I think the biggest thing that we do as a company compared to everybody else is we show up. We show up for everything. Everybody's crying about, where are the employees at? Where did they go? Well, if you think you just hang a sign that says now hiring, it's not going to happen for you, because everybody's doing it. What are you going to do to get the next superstar? What rocks are you going to kick over? Where are you going to go look? And is it just a young kid? Why can't you use people with mental disabilities or physical disabilities and make them part of your family? Why can't you find seniors and then make them part of your work family, train them up, and then you don't have turnover and you have great people that actually understand hospitality. Not everybody's cut out for hospitality. Some people are just cut out for production, but it's our job to go kick rocks, go find them, not just sit and receive.
I think, and I've just seen a little bit of a sneak peek behind the scenes of kind of how y'all operate, with Bienville Bites, Taste of Fairhope. And I think that's what I've been most impressed with is your team building and your employee retention and all that. Kind of dive a little bit deeper on that. Like, what are some specific things that y'all do?
Well,
that makes a great workplace.
So everybody that works for you, sometimes you have this word that people use as standards. Well, standards keeps the fiber of your business of what it may be and takes away those discussions when people say, oh, the restaurant business is hard, people won't show up, this, that, and the other. Well, if you establish and mark your territory of who you are from the beginning, from the orientation, from the interview process, then you don't have those issues because we have already made a relationship and entered into it saying, here's what's going to happen, and we're going to trade. So a lot of times people don't, everything's left in the gray area, and then you get gray results. So I think from the beginning, and neither one of us are know-it-alls. We're even though we've been doing it 30, 40 years, and we've been doing it 9 years together of late. This is an early company that's just been born, and I try to use we as much as possible. And, we push. We are relentless. When we get a win, I'm sure our folks go, let's celebrate the win. But, we're going, what's next? What's next? What's next? And I think that, we have to be able to influence and inspire people. We have to train them up on just the tiny details of everything that's relevant to the 4 Ps that they are involved in. When you have leaders that work for you that lead other people, you need to know what their goals are and go, what are your personal, professional, and financial goals that I can help you get there so that you can continue to help me get there, and together we are going to go somewhere. And I think that's just really that process that we talk about.
That's awesome. And I'm really amazed about how you scale these restaurants, and not only the restaurants, y'all even got a barbershop, even other. How do you execute all these crazy ideas?
Well, it's entrepreneurialism, and we are actually part of what we do, or we're real estate professionals, and that means you have buildings and things that you do, and sometimes you say, hey, you know what? Why do I need a tenant? Why can't I do that? I like a haircut. So when I talk about scaling something, it's studying what they do, from movements to how it's set up, to ingress, egress, to time management, to how it works, and ask a lot of questions and infiltrate a lot of businesses and go in. I can walk into a place and meet somebody, and next thing I know, I'm in their office knowing what their sales are. But I look at it and I go, let's create an operating outline that's timed out. Here's what you do at 8 o'clock. Here's what you do at 9 o'clock. Now let's create some checks and balances that checks the building. Are the lights on? Are the air conditioning sense? Is the music set? Or is all the equipment turned on? So those checks and balances, you think about those principles that I'm talking about, it applies to any business. I'm sure in your business, the tours, you have these checks and balances that you follow with your guides and things that they do.
That's right. One of the things that I'm most excited about is the upcoming food hall that's coming downtown.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, I think the Parc de Trelor is going to be. I'm going to let Pete tell you the story because he's got deep boots. But that concept, I think, is going to be a food hall, an event space that I think that event space is going to be super utilized just as much as that food hall. The food hall will be breakfast and lunch, and at night you'll be able to rent that space out. But the cool thing is it's going to be like you're inside, but you're really outside. And then you can walk across the street from the hotel if you're here with a teachers group from all over the state, and you can have music, you can have beer that you put a credit card in and gives you 3 ounces, and then you can have Mobtown Slice, you can have our tacos from our taco concept, you can have Panini Pete, you can have the pickled chicken. And we'll have this element of a stage and music in the back, as well as the trailer area.
All right, so what's the trailer area?
So the trailer area is going to be in the very back, and that what you see in a trailer, lounge chairs, sitting outside the trailer, with some games and different things in the back. So it'll be set up like some Airstreams, and it'll have that whole feel. Pete will tell you the story about how that evolved. Parc de Trelor is Alabama's first trailer park, and it evolved from the 1800s, and he's going to tell you that story, and I think you'll love it.
That's cool. This is going to be, I guess, for those of you who are not aware of it's going to be where the old Moon Pie story is. Trustmark building, where Dolphins and La Forditas is.
Yeah.
In the old Moon Pie store. That's where it's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun. I just think that, RSA are really good partners. I think they look at it as an amenity, and they just, I think most people, when you occupy their building, they want to know that that person that you're partnering with is going to be present, and they're going to work hard. There's nothing worse than getting an operator in and they just drop the building in there and people in there, and they're never there. And I think that's really why we have been in the pursuit of success, is that we are constantly present 24/7, relentlessly moving forward, going, I have a goal, I have a plan. I want to drag these people that work with us to a different, so they can have a better life, because, it's not hard what we do. It's just so much fun. And, you obviously love food, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Hell, you get it.
And it just seems like that location, man. Right there on the parade route, it seems like y'all could make your money.
Yeah.
Just your Mardi Gras, it seems like.
But it's a plan. It's a budget that you write every period. From the beginning, you start an ROI and you lay it out, and you go labor, training, all the things go with it, management, salaries, menu, design. And then, once your plan's in action, you start executing your plan. I don't go into anything, and Pete doesn't go into anything without a plan to make profit, to develop people, and to grow. But that's hard work every day. I see so many of these young entrepreneurs just fly by the seat of their pants. And you know what? I don't shut my mouth and say, let them fail. I say something to them, and I go, there's plenty of room for all of us. We don't all need to have secrets. Let me tell you the mistakes I've made, so you don't make mistakes. And then, you know what? They might listen, they might not listen, but we're going to keep being who we are, high integrity, caring about people. I want to be first. I'm not going to lie. I want to be first in everything I do. I want to be respected as first. I don't like second, but I also know that getting to first, you can do it the right way through hard work. You can. There's plenty of room for everybody, but I like being first.
Do you think do you think that's like a football lesson? It kind of some of the things you talk about. It reminds me of kind of the process and things that you probably learned in football.
Yeah, I think it's football and life. I think that my father was a Philadelphia police officer. He was always in my ear, but he was also my football coach. I think those things. I don't care, but people have a tendency to talk about football, and I like to talk about the other groups. Think about the band, how regimented they are as far as what they do. Think about the theater kids that do what they do. In Alabama, everybody's football, but there's so many more great things that can teach you scale, process, all the things that go with great leadership. And great leadership is not something that's happens every day. It's acquired, and it is never-ending learning. I'm 55 and I'm still learning. I'm sending out quotes this morning to my leadership team, and I'm looking for some nuggets to hang on to, and who's going to grab those nuggets, and who's going to reach up. You got to keep reaching up and try to find mentors. Who can I mentor? Who can I listen to? You're not are you going to surround yourself with people that you're the smartest person in the room, or are you going to surround yourself with other people who are smarter so that you can rise? And I'm super pumped about this kid coming to work for us named Caleb Helms. He's been with us 4 years as a server. He graduated from USA with masters, and he's going to be our marketing and training guy, and he's going to crush it. But I want to look at our guys, and I want them to move forward. I want to move backwards and say, do your thing, but I'm not going to let you fall. I'm not going to let you get hurt. I'm not going to let you make the same mistakes I've made. And that's all businesses. It's not, football's awesome, basketball's awesome, the band's awesome, the office organization, Apple, think about what they do, Google. I guarantee you walk in there. Now, they've got a hip or cool approach to it all. Us old timers, we're trying to learn that. We're still writing our times tables out on a sheet of paper 12 times to get it, and they may just look at it and go, I can use my iPad and do that. It's changed, but it's okay. I've listened to the politics this morning, and let's just all get along and all be collectively the greatest place in the world, United States, and we can have different views. We can have different flavor profiles and like hot sauce and not, but we need to collectively be united. So
right. You mentioned a minute ago about tacos, and you also have a taco shop in Gulf Shores.
Yeah, so that's Peace, Love, and Tacos. That's I did that for my daughter and all my kids. I had this vision. There was this little spot there. I can do this taco place, and they're all going to work together, and just this is going to be so cool, and they're going to learn about business. Well, after about a week, middle daughter went, I want to do beach service. After a week, youngest daughter goes, it's too hot in there. So my oldest daughter's been down there, and she's working hard. We'll see where that ends up. That's really going to depend on her going to nursing school. It's been a good journey. I don't take it so serious. She's done a great job with the food. We do stuffed avocados. We do roasted street cauliflower. It's a different twist to tacos, but she's done a good job. Just a matter of, does she want to carry on, or does she want to make a lot of money being a nurse? But it's been good for her. She's actually learned the process.
That's cool. I'm going to Gulf Shores this weekend, so I'm gonna have to go down there and check it out.
They're open Saturday. Just go over there and ask for me, or just text me, and I'll make sure you get the scholarship treatment.
Sounds good.
They might even give you a T-shirt.
Nice. So the next segment of the show is what I like to call Meat 3, and we've already gotten into the meat of the podcast. So I'm going to ask you 3 kind of rapid fire questions.
Okay, cool.
And we'll see where that goes. All right. So if what's your career right now if you had not gone into the restaurant industry?
A coach.
Football coach? Or
some type of coach.
Okay.
If I had to guess, my brothers, all his roommates, Freddie Kitchens, Dabo Sweeney, Jeremy Pruitt, Will Friend, they're all making crazy money, and I think a lot of people, when they meet me, like you were saying earlier, you have that whole coach vibe. I'm a pretty intense guy. I think I would have dug being an offensive line coach or something.
Well, and you had plenty of connections, it sounds like, too.
Yeah, man.
Could have got you in.
Yeah, it's been a super cool journey.
I'm going to have to kind of divert from a little bit here. Like, what was your favorite Alabama memory when you were at Alabama? Were you part of you played Bill Curry, so 89?
No, that for me, that was walk on, walk off, and painful. But my favorite Alabama moment was I happened to be the general manager of Baumhower's that did all the head coaches that started that program. And I would tell you my fondest relationship was with Coach Gene Stallings, that I think made my brother a man and created some values, which my brother is a very successful business person, played a year up there in Seattle and then NFL Europe 2 years and done super well. But, I talk to him now and you hear those lessons that Coach Stallings taught him, but you get to see. I get to see every head coach that's ever been there, including the basketball coaches, wimp, and I got a relationship because I ran the food where the show was.
Yeah.
So I got to see behind the curtain. So it was an unbelievable thing. But the greatest moment that I remember was standing in the end zone after I catered the A Club, and it was Eric Zier was the quarterback for Georgia. And they were playing Stallings, and they were in triple overtime. And that was the first moment that they put my brother and his second team in to take over, because everyone got held in the first team, and I got to watch it. And the hair was standing up on my arms. In Alabama, it was a fist fight, and it was an unbelievable moment.
Nice. Was that 94?
I think
Alabama, Georgia?
It was 93 or 94. Mm-hmm. But it was watching from an end zone and watching your younger brother run out there. Boy, I'll tell you what, it's still, I'm getting a little teary now just thinking about that moment. And it's like even his last Alabama game that I watched him run off that field, it was just, Coach Stallings made it a family for those guys. I wish that I could have got to that level, but, the legs were too short, wasn't fast enough. But just being able to walk out there one day, put a helmet on, and some cleats was like, wow.
Absolutely. That's
That was
something,
cool.
yeah.
That was,
I mean, how many people can say that?
Not a lot.
We could do a whole podcast on Alabama. I got one more for you. Do you think we've seen the last championship under Saban?
No.
Yeah.
I think that
I'm with you.
I think that he may have to change some things up. I think that when you're up top like he is, the air is rare. And, yeah, you can't win every season. And when he gets knocked off, they go, hey, I think the coach is getting old. He ain't done yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
He's a young 71.
He's a young 71. And you know, you look at if you know anything about football, and a lot of people don't know a lot about football. You look at this last week, that quarterback from LSU, 6'3", he was hard to handle. You know, we've got some young people. We've lost tons of people as first-round draft picks. You can't just keep redoing it every year. There's always going to be a down year. We're so used to winning that everybody's going, oh, Saban's gone. He's losing it. He's fine.
Yeah. All right, going back to our meeting three. I got the second question to that was going to be, what's one under-the-radar dish at Squid Ink that not a lot of people know about?
Squid on a shingle. You know, shit on a shingle is an old Army dish that they take cream chip beef and put it over basically burnt toast or just hard bread. So we had this vision of, hey, let's do some sautéed squid with olive oil, butter, and then, you know, it'll get real tender, and we put it over top of that toast and then put that sauce on top. That's the game changer. That thing is unbelievable.
I haven't had that dish, so all right, you talked me into it now. I'm about to get it and try it out.
Yeah, it'll be a sleeper.
Last question. What would you choose for your final meal?
You know, it's like the movie The Green Mile. I used to say spaghetti and clams. If I had to do anything, I'd want to order spaghetti and clams. But, you know, I've probably changed it up to an Italian pork sandwich with broccoli rabe.
Where's the spaghetti and clams come from?
That's a whole Philly.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Spaghetti
childhood
and clams,
thing?
yeah. The spaghetti and clams, the Italian pork sandwich with broccoli rabe, which, you know, we have panini pizza and pasta that we do dinner 3 nights a week, and we use broccoli rabe. We have spaghetti and clams. We have all of it, and it's like this hidden secret that no one's found out about. But real Italian, that's real Italian. It's not red sauce, it's gravy. It's meatballs that are legit, and I challenge anybody to say, go there and go, that's for real Italian.
I've been, and I can vouch for it. So, yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, Panini Pete's in the French Quarter.
5 to 9, just super, super, super good.
Yep. All right, next segment of the show is Chris's Dishes, and this is where I talk about the best dish that I've had this week. And the best dish that I've had this week was the loaded seafood potato from Market by the Bay. Market by the Bay in Daphne. I know we usually try to keep it Mobile, but, man, you know, they're only 10 minutes from downtown.
Yeah, they've redone that place,
They've redone it.
too,
Yeah, they've done a really good job with the renovated the entire restaurant, got some new menu items.
Who's that, Harry? Is Harry involved with that? Or?
I don't know the guy. I don't. We got to get him on the podcast, though. I know
they look like they've done a good job giving it a new look, and sounds like you had a really good meal.
I did have a good meal. The loaded seafood potato had so it was a spud topped with shrimp, crab. It had a Cajun cream sauce, and it had of course the chives and cheese on top. But man, it was phenomenal. So when you're driving back and forth from across the bay,
I'd like to try that.
You got to stop in there one day.
I'd like to try that.
It's on Wednesdays.
Over a sweet potato.
Oh, okay.
Change that up.
I like it.
Just a white sweet potato.
I like it.
Get a little different.
So my question for you and Chris's dishes is, what's the best dish you've had in the last week or so?
Man, there's this little spot on the outskirts of Mobile called a Pot of Pho, and we sneak in there, and we have once or twice a week the pho bowl with shrimp, and I eat it with shrimp and tofu, and it is just really, 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 really awesome. You add all your herbs to it on the table, and it's one of those hidden secrets that I'm always looking for a place to slurp.
Nice. Where are they at?
So it's right. You go down the airport, and you'll make a left, right where where Culver's is.
Yep.
So you go down to that light, hang a left, follow
Azalea.
that around Azalea. I don't even know the address, but it's on top of the hill, man. It is legit.
All right.
All kinds of bowls, man, and it's authentic, and it's one of those hidden places that, I think once you go, you'll be stuck.
And that kind of reminds me, too, we were talking before we turned on the podcast about the Slurp Society grand opening. You know, they just had their grand opening. And
yeah, Wade, man. You know, I think that he's got a good shot. He's got a good location. You know, you got to get the systems down, and he's going to find out about all those things we talked about earlier.
That's right.
And if he can do that and sustain that, I think that he will, as long as his food's good. You know, I'm actually going to bug out of here, and I'm going to go slurp some and try it, check that broth, and see what it's about, and see if I crave that place, and it becomes one of my new spots.
All right, sounds good. So when you do, you'll have to go to the Port City Plate Facebook group and post it on there and let us know your thoughts on it.
I will, man. I appreciate you having me on, and we really applaud you for growing this business of an idea that became a plan. That's a super cool thing, and I think you represent Mobile and Fairhope well, and I think by taking people around, you show that pride, and I think that people, that's why they like working with you.
I love it. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, we're all about connecting people to the city, Mobile, Fairhope. We're all, and there's no better way to connect them through food.
Yep, connect, baby.
Nick, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Oh, pleasure, man. I'm humble. I'm nobody. You had I appreciate you just taking time to talk with me.
Absolutely. Well, I think after listening to this episode, I think people will definitely have a bigger appreciation for Panini Pete's hospitality, all the restaurants, and I think they'll absolutely kind of see that, you know, Pete is the face of it a lot of times, but you're the heart and soul of it.
I mean, look, my face looks a lot better than his face.
Well, thank everybody for listening to the Port City Plate podcast presented by Bienville Bites Food Tour. You can book a food tour online at BienvilleBitesFoodTour.com. You can check out, we talked a lot about Taste of Fairhope on this podcast too. You can go to tastefairhope.com, book a tour there. And then find us on the Port City Plate podcast at portcityplate.com, and then you can share your best dish that you've had on our Facebook group, Port City Plate. So until next time, we will see y'all then.
They're legit.